Old country music wasn't just filled with melodies, it was steeped in secrets, betrayals, and scandals that reshaped Nashville forever. Behind the stage lights and rhinestones were stories of heartbreak, defiance, and survival. Some rumors were whispered for years before the truth finally surfaced. From unmade movies to forbidden love affairs, these hidden moments reveal that the legends of country music were as human as the songs they sang. When Titanic premiered in 1997, it became one of the most successful films of all time. But few fans know that one of country's brightest stars was almost part of that legacy. Reeba McIntyre, the fiery redhead known for her powerful voice and southern grace, had been offered the role of Molly Brown, the spirited socialite who famously survived the sinking ship. It was a perfect fit. Reeba embodied the same grit, charm, and heart that defined the unsinkable Molly Brown. But as filming drew near, everything fell apart. Whispers spread that she'd been dropped, that maybe she wasn't movie material. The truth, however, was far simpler and far sadder. In an interview years later, Reeba confirmed she had indeed been cast, but her tour schedule clashed with filming. "We were all set," she said, "but it just couldn't work out." The part went to Kathy Bates, whose performance won critical acclaim. Still, fans have always wondered what could have been, a version of Titanic where Reeba's unmistakable warmth and charisma might have left a different kind of mark on movie history. While Reeba's missed opportunity became a piece of what-if lore, her generosity gave rise to another star. Before Linda Davis was a household name, she was quietly singing backup harmonies behind Reeba, her angelic tone blending seamlessly into the spotlight of others. Then, one studio session changed everything. The song was "Does He Love You?" and Linda's role was meant to be temporary, a placeholder until another artist was chosen. But when Reeba and producer Tony Brown heard Linda's voice, they knew it couldn't be replaced. "Don't you think she should have this job?" Reeba asked. That spontaneous decision made history. The duet went on to win a Grammy for Best Country Vocal Collaboration and became one of the genre's most iconic performances. Critics accused Reeba of favoritism, but those who heard the song knew better. Linda Davis hadn't been given a break, she had earned it with pure talent and emotion that couldn't be ignored. In the same decade, Nashville's sound was changing, and not everyone was willing to follow. Alan Jackson, the tall, soft-spoken Georgia native, became the quiet rebel of country music. As the industry leaned toward pop influences, Jackson refused to compromise. He wanted fiddle and steel guitar, not drum loops and glossy production. Rumors spread of heated meetings with record executives who pushed him to modernize. Jackson stood firm. His most famous act of defiance came during the 1994 CMA Awards. Forced to mime along to a pre-recorded track, Jackson told his drummer to play without sticks, openly exposing the fakery on live television. Nashville's insiders were furious, but fans loved him even more. Jackson's rebellion wasn't loud or angry, it was honest. He reminded everyone that country music wasn't about image. It was about truth. But even the most devoted artists carry their own battles. Gene Watson, known for his velvet baritone and pure storytelling, quietly fought a life-threatening illness while still performing. In the early 2000s, whispers began that he was done for, that his health had failed and his touring days were over. The truth was that Watson had been battling cancer in silence, performing whenever his body allowed. Bandmates recalled nights when he could barely stand backstage, only to walk out moments later and deliver a flawless show. When he finally revealed the truth, fans were stunned. Gene Watson hadn't been hiding, he'd been surviving. His courage became a symbol of the resilience that defines country music's soul, pain turned into poetry. The same couldn't be said for June Carter and Johnny Cash, whose romance became one of the most celebrated, and scandalous, love stories in music history. When they met in the 1950s, the chemistry was instant, but Johnny was still married to his first wife, Vivian Liberto, and the father of 4. Their affair began in secrecy, masked by tour dates and songwriting sessions. Vivian later said she realized something was wrong when Johnny started writing songs about another woman. When the affair became public, the backlash was fierce. June was labeled a homewrecker, and Johnny's image as a Christian artist was nearly destroyed. But love, as it often does, defied morality. They married in 1968, and together they became icons. Still, behind the legend lingered the guilt and heartbreak of how it began, a reminder that even love songs can be born from pain. Not every rebel found redemption. Skeeter Davis, whose 1962 hit, The End of the World, became timeless, was silenced for speaking out. By the 1970s, she'd grown frustrated with Nashville's conformity and publicly criticized the Grand Ole Opry during a performance. In an era when women were expected to stay quiet, her defiance was seen as betrayal. The Opry suspended her indefinitely, effectively exiling her from the institution that had made her a star. For years, Davis fought to clear her name, refusing to apologize for telling the truth. When she finally returned, the standing ovation wasn't just for her music, it was for her courage. She had been silenced, but never defeated. Whispering Bill Anderson, one of Nashville's most respected songwriters, faced a different kind of controversy. Known for his poetic touch and gentle voice, Anderson's reputation was nearly undone by whispers that he hadn't written all his credited songs. Some said others had contributed verses that were never acknowledged, that there were NDAs, even tapes proving ghostwriting. Anderson denied the accusations, reminding critics that Nashville's songwriting was often collaborative, ideas traded between friends over late nights and coffee. Still, the rumors never fully disappeared. They lingered, a faint echo that followed him even as he was inducted into the Country Music and Songwriters Halls of Fame, a reminder that even the most respected voices live under scrutiny. For Marty Robbins, the shadow came from within. Beloved for his Western ballads like El Paso, Robbins lived a double life, country star by day, race car driver by night. His obsession with speed terrified his family but thrilled him to no end. He competed in NASCAR events between concert tours, chasing the same adrenaline that filled his songs. Behind the wheel, he was free, but behind closed doors, rumors of affairs and secret romances swirled. His management worked tirelessly to protect his wholesome image. The man who sang of heartbreak was living on the edge, and in 1982, it caught up to him. After his third heart attack, Marty Robbins was gone at 57, a life lived fast, full, and beautifully reckless. Love wasn't always the saving grace it seemed to be. When Leona Williams joined Merle Haggard's band, their chemistry was undeniable. Soon they were married, a union of two brilliant but volatile souls. Haggard's temper and personal demons clashed with Leona's independence. Their love burned bright but painfully. She later said that being married to Merle meant loving a man who couldn't love himself. When it ended, so did one of country's most promising partnerships. Leona poured her heartbreak into her solo work, proving she was more than someone's ex, she was an artist in her own right. For Merle's son Noel, the legacy was both blessing and burden. Growing up in his father's shadow, Noel inherited the gift of music, and the curse of comparison. His debut album carried the soul of traditional country, yet critics only saw Merle's boy. Behind the scenes, Noel battled addiction and loneliness, wrestling with the same demons that haunted his father. Their relationship was distant but respectful, a quiet truce built on understanding that pain and talent often come hand in hand. The darker side of fame reached chilling depths with Tammy Wynette's mysterious abduction in 1978. The "Stand By Your Man" singer claimed she was kidnapped, beaten, and left miles from Nashville. Her injuries seemed real, but police were never convinced. Nothing was stolen, and no suspect was found. Rumors spread that Tammy had staged the event to cover up a domestic altercation or to avoid scandal. Others swore she was telling the truth. Decades later, the mystery remains unsolved, a haunting chapter in the life of one of country's most tragic figures. Few artists embodied rebellion like Tanya Tucker. A superstar at 13, she grew into one of Nashville's most unpredictable icons. Her affair with Glenn Campbell became tabloid obsession. She was barely 20, he was in his 40s, and their relationship was both passionate and destructive. After years of turmoil, Tanya seemed ready to settle down with fellow singer Craig Dillingham. She told friends, "If it ain't him, I'm done." But life had other plans. Health battles and emotional scars kept her from marriage once again. Tanya remained a free spirit, untamed as ever, her heart forever just out of reach.